Okay, cool. Recording is live, so we're live. Okay, cool. So this is the last webinar of the year. Obviously, since we moved online in March when we had to, the numbers have been great, reactions have been great, engagement's been great, and we've had some really, really good speakers since March. And again, we got a really good one to finish off the year. No pressure, Eric. He'll tell you it's good anyway. And me and Dar saw a preview this last week and it looked really, really good. It's something that I haven't really seen much of or heard of as well. I think a few people I've spoken to are the same. So we have big expectations for it, Eric. Huge expectations. So it should be good. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Eric and he's going to crack away. And as ever, we'll have questions on that at the end. If you have any questions or thoughts during the talk, feel free to fire them into the Q&A box and I'm sure we can pick them up as we go and we can pick them up at the end. And we'll have plenty of time as well. And over to you, Eric. Very welcome to TestHeads.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much. I'm super excited to be here. And I'm super excited to be talking about test-driven relevance, which is something that I think that the people involved in sort of measuring our software quality and ensuring software quality should be a lot more involved in and aren't. And so I'm really excited to have this opportunity to bridge the world that I currently inhabit, search relevance, searching online, and the world that used to be very near and dear to my heart. I was all about QA. So yeah, super excited to be talking to you guys today. So real quick, so this is my current bio, but I'm one of the co-founders of OpenSource Connections consulting firm, member of the Apache Software Foundation, something I'm very proud of. I've been involved in open source for a good chunk of my adult life. And Apache Solr, which is one of the most common open source search engines. You might have heard of Apache Solr or Elasticsearch. I recently became a committer on that project. Only took 1,778 days after my very first contribution. I'm also steward of Cupid, a open source project that is all about measuring your search quality and what I'm going to be showing you guys today. So really excited to do that. And some other things. So also, the obligatory company picture. So OSC, we're all about empowering search teams. So we're sort of in a adjacent market maybe to what a lot of you guys do, but search is sort of eating the world ever since we've been locked down at home and we're all shopping online a lot more, looking for inventory. Search has just become more important. So I'm going to start out with this statement that your search relevance is probably broken, right? So everybody here is responsible for maintaining systems and making sure things are working. And most of you, I wish there was a way I could do a quick poll, right? Be interesting to know how many of you are actually responsible for testing a search system as part of your day job, right? Somewhere in your application, your website, your system, there's probably a little search bar. And, the relevance, which is this idea of how good are the results, is probably broken. And so I want to go ahead and show some examples of what bad relevance is, because I find that relevance is something that's easier for me to show than tell. So let's see if I can figure out how to do this. So let's go ahead. I'm going to open up Nike.com and I'm going to do a search for shirts. Let's see if this works. Where is it? Give me a second. Presenter mode is not loving me here. Here we go. So I've done a quick search on Nike.com. And do these look like shirts that don't have stripes? Well, the first one definitely has stripes. The second one definitely has stripes. All right, this one, good result, right? But it's not really a shirt, it's a hoodie, right? And so if I'm looking for shirts without stripes, this is not what I'm looking for. Got some stripes, got some stripes. This must be hard to read, but it says it's got stripes in it, stripes. So there you go, right? Nike, one of the largest online retailers of clothing, and search without stripes, shirts without stripes, bad relevancy. Let me go ahead and see if I can give some other examples. So let's go ahead, and since you guys are all based in Dublin, I thought I'd go with your hometown beer choice. So this is Tesco's, and I did a search for Guinness. Okay, Guinness, Guinness, Guinness. Okay, Guinness, sort of mini pints chocolates. Okay. Looking down here, draft beer in a can, Budweiser, right? Raise your hand if you think someone searching for Guinness actually wanted Budweiser. At least it's still a beer. And then some sort of skinny pork sausage, must be made with Guinness maybe in it, but that's looking, not a very good result. And maybe this extra stout probably should be ahead of either, thank you, Darren, right? And if you look at this, right, this Guinness extra stout should be above the Budweiser and the skinny pork sausage. So not very good relevancy. How did this slip through? Let's see, we got a couple of other examples. Grocery store is always great for examples. Organic cat food. How about organic coconut? Okay, well here we have, at least we have cat food, but again, bad relevance, right? The most important thing in searching for organic cat food would be the cat food, not the word organic. So again, not great search results. And my last example, I'm going to go Aldi UK. Let's look for almond milk, right? Everybody is everybody is lactose intolerant. We're drinking different kinds of milk. So almond milk. Nope. Again, you understand why this is coming back. It's got the word almond in the title. But almond is not the important thing, it's milk. So there we go, milk, right? Still no almond, there it is. Now, maybe this is being sorted by these buy onlines being given more weight, who knows? Regardless, if I'm searching for almond milk and this is what I saw, I'd probably go elsewhere, right? I have to scroll all the way down here to get to my almond milk. And then very quickly, 10 large British eggs, right? This is terrible relevance. So all good examples of what bad relevancy is. So that's what I mean by bad relevance. And if you are running if you're responsible for the quality of a system and you have a search bar, I suspect that your search engine is also bad. So how do I, if I'm putting on I'm a QA person, think about relevance and think about how do I break it? And so here are some examples, right? You can go to pretty much any website, and these are very typical types of test queries that are going to break someone's website, right? These are all sort of grocery store oriented because that's where I was pulling my example, but white sugar, right? I'm giving you a piece of descriptive language, the white part, right? So if I'm searching for white sugar, make sure you're not returning brown sugar first, or white sugar is a very specific product. Sometimes our search engines easily break because of spelling errors, right? So let's go ahead and try some different types of spelling errors. A really common issue that our search engines have is that they maybe understand coffee maker, but don't understand the jargon or sophisticated terminology. or vice versa, right? Whoever wrote the description uses jargon, but our users type in everyday terms like coffee maker. Cheap versus expensive. We know exactly what that means when we type that in, but your search engine probably doesn't know what that means. Abbreviations, and then as I showed on the Nike website example, sort of natural language style. Let me search and say what I want and what I don't want. Search shirt without stripes. So these are all examples of the types of queries that you can use on your own website or a system that you're responsible for. And I suspect that anything out of the most simplistic, basic sort of keyword search that you do, you will have bad relevancy. And this is part of why your search is probably broken, right? This is the tool that I'm going to show you, Cupid, was actually literally inspired by this conversation. My colleague, Doug, was working on a medical search project. And they had a content person, Rena, who really understood the data, really understood taxonomies, really understood what should be searched for, right? So here's Rena, and she's saying, if I search for myocardial infarction, then obviously documents about heart attacks should come up. But you can imagine, right, why the heart attack documents weren't getting returned, because they use totally separate terms than myocardial infarction. That's the scientific name, the term a doctor might use. Heart attack is what an everyday person would type in. And so Doug went ahead and fixed it. He used some synonyms, he did some relevance engineering stuff, some cool things, and he fixed it. But then Rena's next thing was, hey, sure, you fixed that one problem, but you broke something else, right? The process of fixing myocardial infarction broke another query. And of course, Doug said, okay, let me see what I can do. I'll get back to you in a week. This is a really, really common problem and is kind of at the heart of why so many search bars return really bad search results. That the person on the right, the Rena, the content expert, knows what should be coming back. The person on the left, the relevancy engineer, knows how to make those changes, but the two are not working together. And so in relevancy, we really struggle with this broken workflow, right? We send around lots of spreadsheets that say these are good search results and these are bad search results. But honestly, we're sending spreadsheets back and forth. We're not actually collaborating. We're not actually working together. Search testing is inherently really hard, right? It's hard for someone who is either a relevance engineer or a QA person to understand what are good results. I mean, the examples I gave you, almond milk, shirts without stripes, we all kind of understood what good search was, right? Guinness and Budweiser, we understood that. But if they were highly technical topics, right? Returning medical documentation, returning legal documents, it would be very hard for most of us who aren't trained in those domains to understand. So it becomes very hard. And this leads to the iterative process and constant improvement to be very slow, right? It takes a lot of work to change the search algorithm. It takes a lot of work to test it, and nobody wants to mess with it. And so this is kind of the broken state that we are at in most organizations, and I suspect your organizations. All three of those characteristics are things that maybe you experience as QA people, right? Responsible for testing a search application. You probably experience all three of those things. And if you don't experience all three of those things, please do speak up, because I want to learn from you how you're avoiding it. And I think one of the things I really see in working with a lot of different search teams is that we don't involve the QA team early enough and as part of our search testing process, right? In fact, I would argue that this comic strip here is missing a third character, right? That would be me as the QA person, right? Who's saying, yeah, they're working with Doug and Rena to both make sure that you're improving a specific problem, but you're also regression testing and making sure all the other searches are still good and that things haven't gotten worse. So I often think we should update this to introduce the QA expert into this conversation. So moving along, right? This is why I'm excited to be talking to you all about, because I think that it's really important to have more QA people involved. But why is improving search really important? These are all reasons why your search is really critical, right? It is how people work with your systems. And just because specifically in the e-commerce world, right, all these e-commerce organizations are, frantically rethinking how they are going to engage with our customers, right, as we're all locked down at home. And that's all through search. That's all through that search bar. That's how people talk to retail e-commerce websites. So how we tune search and think about QAing search and that, and maybe how you could search, think about it, is sort of these 5 steps. So the first thing is, most people, when you're writing a test plan, it's sort of a pass-fail test plan, right? I'm kind of looking at the crowd here, right? Do you maybe write unit tests or integration tests, or you have a script, and it's sort of a pass-fail. There's a right answer and a wrong answer. But in search, it's much less about right answers and wrong answers, and much more about, well, this thing may be getting worse, but this thing is getting better. And so we need a way of measuring how good our search engine is. And that's what I'm going to be showing you today with Cupid. This maybe matters less for a QA person, but we're really big on experimenting, right? How do I fix the search problem? There are many ways to do it. Some ways that work really well, some ways that don't work well, some that have like crazy knock-on side effects that we never even realized, right? So figuring out how to experiment quickly and try a number of different ideas out is critical to being successful at having better relevance. Being able to experiment really quickly and test new things, right? So if it takes the QA team a week to run through the search test scripts, that means that we can't try new ideas out very quickly, especially because you kind of got to run all the tests, because you never know what the sort of weird side effects of changing a search algorithm are. And so we're also really big, and again, this is where I think this cartoon maybe needs updating, right? Is that where is our QA person? We need someone who really understands the quality of the search results, that content curator. We need the engineer who's tweaking the algorithm. And maybe we need the QA person in there, either fulfilling one of those two roles, or someone who can say, yep, you've improved not just this result, but all the other results still look good. So we need better collaboration. Again, one of the things that Cupid gives us. And then lastly, all these ideas around better relevance are kind of new. They aren't widespread. And so this is just an advertisement for our conference Haystack, and making sure you understand how to measure search. Part of why I'm here today and evangelizing around tools like Cupid is so that you can learn, hey, what are all the techniques and tools I should be using? So one last thing is I sort of think about relevancy and trying to improve it as sort of a two wheels. And this offline environment is really where the QA team is often very involved in, where we're writing and coming up with automated tests. We're trying to evaluate search results kind of changed around. Almond milk moved up, Budweiser moved down. Is that good or bad, right? There's a lot of evaluation. And it's where we're kind of easily trying lots of things. And then if we bless these offline ideas, these improvements to search, then we promote them up to a production environment where we might have an A/B testing environment, right? I don't know how many people here have a chance, are responsible for running A/B tests, right? Do you promote features or algorithms to production and decide, is that ready for 100% of traffic, 10% of traffic, 50% of traffic? But really what we see a lot of QA folks working on is that offline environment, making sure that these ideas are good ideas, improvements to our algorithm, and then promoting them to the online environment where we have real users clicking on things to see if our users actually adopt, and like our new changes. So did, filtering out Budweiser drive more sales for Guinness? So there's a whole bunch, this isn't maybe super germane to you guys, but there's a whole bunch of methodologies and processes around improving search that we're really big on. And we have like a relevance engineer class that a lot of QA folks end up taking that's really useful. So that's sort of the slideware portion. Now I kind of want to pivot over to showing you Cupid, which is a tool, an open source tool with a free hosted version that lets you have a better understanding of the quality of your search, okay? So let's see if I can move things around. So you all are welcome to go to www.cupid.com. It's a free service, and it's a tool. You can also go to the GitHub project, and you can actually download and install this tool. And we have a pretty active community around it, right? You can see 25 issues, 6 pull requests, and we're constantly releasing updates. So our last release was in September. There'll be another one in a week. So it's a it's an actively maintained open source project. Okay, so with that aside, I'm gonna go ahead and bring up Cupid. So if you sign up on Cupid and go through the onboarding wizard, we actually start out with a sample data set. It's the movie database, sort of the knockoff version of the internet movie database. And so there's 2 big parts in working with Cupid. There is the measurement side, right? Remember I said the measurement side, and the improving search side. So step 1 is we need to figure out how to put some numbers on the quality of our search. So I'm going to go ahead and put in queries, Star Wars. I'm going to put in Star Trek. If anybody has a favorite movie they want, throw it in the chat and I'll go ahead and add it to our case. And as you can see for the query Star Wars, 2,477 results. Thank you, Patrick. Goodfellas. Here we go, right? And so I'm going to go ahead and look at this. Goodfellas. Hold on. You guys are seeing the best possible results. Let me back up in time. See if I can get back to less good results. All right. Pardon me. Don't look behind the curtain. All right. So for a search like Goodfellas, we have 3 movies being returned: Playing for the Mob, Sicilian Vampire, and Goodfellas. So let's go ahead and do, great, I'll throw those in. We also have True Detective and Forrest Gump. All right, terrific. So that's our set of queries that we're going to use. Now we need to go ahead and measure. So in relevancy, we typically are measuring the quality of our results on some sort of graded scale. In this particular case, we have poor, as in, this is a terrible result. Why are you returning this? All the way to perfect, like, this is exactly what I wanted, and I am ready to buy this movie or watch this movie. And then sort of fair is, okay, I get it, but it's not really what I wanted. And good is, okay, reasonable results. So for our query, Goodfellas, playing for the mob is, I don't know, it's a little bit in the eye of the beholder. I'm gonna say it's okay, right? Like if I like Goodfellas, I probably like playing for the mob. Sicilian Vampire, never really heard of it. It's in that genre, but I'm gonna give it a fair. I'm not gonna give it it's a totally bad results. And then, hey, here's Goodfellas being returned as the third result. And this would be rated a perfect hit, right? If I type in Goodfellas, spelled one way, I didn't realize that's how it's spelled the other way. That's what I'm looking for. So now I can sum up all of these scores, and it gives me an aggregate score of 7.13 for these three results. Okay, good. Now, let's go ahead and rate some of these other movies. So this data set has every movie ever made, including all of these kind of crap movies. Lots of fan fiction, right? Star Wars, A Musical Journey. Like, oh, okay. These are all pretty, like, yeah, they're related to Star Wars, right? They're something to do with Star Wars, but not if I'm typing in Star Wars what I'm looking for. Actually, Clone Wars, I'm going to move it up to good. Empire Strikes Back Uncut, the Director's Edition, that's actually a pretty great result, but this not, right? So look, there I've sort of rated them, and I've got a 5.81. I'm going to do the same thing for Star Trek. Another sort of not popular, all of these look pretty bad, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just rate them all not great search results. True Detective. We're matching, right? So one of the things Cupid gives you is some tools to understand why we're returning the search results that we're doing. I don't know True Detective well enough to say what's a good result or not. So I think this is an example where what I would do is I would take this URL and I would send it to my content expert, right? So I would send it to Igor, right? And ask him, hey, Igor, do you mind going in and rating these? Because I actually don't know enough about this domain to do it. This is much better than me sending a spreadsheet of query document results to Igor and asking him to fill it out. So he would bring up this app and fill it out. Forrest Gump, I do recognize. And I think that is I see these look, I don't know, these don't look very good. I'm going to give them all poors, except for Forrest Gump right there, which is the perfect result. The rest of them, I don't think any, Ultimate Fighting, these are not good results. So now I have a rating, 4.1.0, right? And there is my search results. So now I'm going to show you something real quick now that I've got my, measurement taken care of, I'm actually going to show you how I might try to improve the search results and how I would measure that to know that I did it. So first off, I'm going to go ahead and make a snapshot. I'm going to call it TestHeads baseline. And so what I'm saying is right now, here is the quality of search, right? And, I'm just going to take a measurement. Okay. Now, I know, on some of these, like this Star Wars, I have two fields. How many times someone has voted for a movie and what the average vote was. So the stars of Star Wars only ever got one vote and they gave it a 5 out of 10. And yet it's showing up at the top of our list. This one here got 18 votes and got a 6.7. If I scroll down though, remember we actually got the Clone Wars? Notice how many votes we got? 1,039 votes. So as a relevancy engineer, I can say, hey, probably movies with more votes are more popular. So let's go ahead and this is going to be somewhat magic coding, but I'm going to add a boost function. And this is what you learned in the class. And what was that field called? It was called vote underscore count. So what I'm going to do is just boost the search results that got lots of votes. Let's find out how well we did. Well, Star Wars, The Force Awakens, with 14,000 votes came in. That's great. But I want to show you one of the things that's kind of brittle about search, and probably why, if right now you have really rigid test scripts that say, I expect this search result in position 1 and this search result in position 2, why that doesn't work. And it's because the data and the algorithms are constantly changing, right? Right now, my score, you can see it's kind of gone down a little bit, and I'm getting a 0 for Star Wars. But the reason is nobody has rated these. And so right now, if I'm looking for Star Wars and I get back The Force Awakens, that's a great result. And here's Star Wars, right? The original movie, that's a perfect result. So as you can see, what I'm doing now is going back up. That's not a good result. Truman Show. Rogue One, great result. Last Jedi, another great result. Grand Budapest, not good. Episode 1, Phantom, good result. Return of the Jedi. So what we're interested in finding out here is, did our search quality go up or down when we made that change? So I went ahead and rated some more documents. Ta-da! Notice that we're up to a 6, right? And this little frog guy basically tells you, hop to it, unrated documents. We can go ahead and rate these. Star Trek, Star Wars, The Force Awakens, right? You can see that our experiment, what we chose is sorting by vote count was not the best way. These are all bad. We're matching on the word star and sorting on votes. Oh, this would be interesting to see. Did I actually improve search, or did I just make it a popularity? Using vote count popularity. So now I improved Star Wars, but Star Trek got worse. And in fact, I can kind of compare that. Let me go look and see against my baseline. See that? It's a little odd that the current result is on the left and the baseline's on the right. I always feel like it should be flipped. So I improved Star Wars. I went from 5.81 to 13, but Star Trek got worse. It went from 4.54 to 0. right? And this is kind of exactly that problem that we as QA people face when we're doing testing of search engines, is you fix one thing, Star Wars got fixed, just like that myocardial infarction query got fixed, but another crate got worse. But on average, even with these bad results, oh, look, Goodfellas got better. True Detective, we have 0 results. Forrest Gump actually got better, right? So even with the fact that Star Trek got much worse, we went from a 4.1 in our snapshot to a 6. And so that indicates better quality search. This is still a better algorithm than what we did before. I'm a little curious. If I add, I'm going to add a magic parameter. Let's see if this works. Must match. See if this fixes my Star Trek. A little hard to see. There it is, Star Trek. That's another good Star Trek, right? Star Trek Into Darkness. So I just tweaked my search algorithm to say you have to have both of the words in the query match. So we can't just match on star, we have to match on star and Star Trek. Actually, if I turn off my, hopefully this will be obvious. Oh, that's not a great result. It has the word star and Trek in it, but it's not good. Wrath of Khan, greatest Star Trek movie. First Contact, good movie. So as you can see, one of the less exciting parts of measuring and testing relevancy is you do a lot of what I'm doing right here, which is called creating a judgment list. And this judgment list is sort of, you build it up over time, and it is a, key piece of information to measuring search. See here, I've got some Star Wars in here. Nope, that's not a good Star Wars. That's a great Star Wars. Here we go. We're getting them all rated. And there we go. So now let me go ahead and compare it to my snapshot. And as you can see, I've gone from a 4.10 to an 8.79. This algorithm improvement that I've made is better than what I had before. And yep, thank you, Dimitri, for commenting on what that specifically did. So that's how Cupid works. And then let me show you real quickly, and I want to open up the floor to questions and things. Really appreciate everybody coming to this. So in Cupid, one of the things we have is this concept of teams. So I can share a case with a team. So you can just set up teams of people. And this sharing is kind of one of the things that I'm most excited about, is instead of sending spreadsheets back and forth, we're all working in the same environment and fixing the same data. Oh, and by the way, I got to change that message to this may take a while. So I have a lot of teams. Come on. I'm not going to share that right now, worry about that right now. I'll come back to it. So the other thing I wanted to show is how many, if you all use continuous integration, right, continuous delivery sort of type systems, how do you factor this in? Well, one of the things is there's a little command line tool that I call Agent Q, sort of a, to be funny, and it lets me run a case, which is talking to my search engine, and check the math. And so I'm going to go ahead and show it to you. So I need my current case. Here, I'm going to give this 4081. So I'm going to switch to a terminal. Hopefully everybody can see it. So Agent Q is a little command line library that lets me run a case. So I'm going to put my case ID in there, and what score I consider success or failure, right? So right now it's expecting a 10 to come back. So let's go ahead and run it. There's my username, there's my password as a variable, and there's my Cupid that I'm using. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. And it takes a couple of minutes. What this guy is doing is firing up a headless browser, who then logs into the Cupid website and runs those queries, which is why it takes a little while. And there we go. Case 4081 scored an 8.78, right? Which you can see right around it here, which is below the threshold of 10. And so if we had a continuous integration pipeline, right, running integration tests, we can actually build these and then add them. And you get a failure, you can come in here and be like, oh, okay, it turns out we have all these true detective results that we need to update, right? Let's go ahead and update that and then see if the test passes. Or, oh, maybe the algorithm is wrong and we need to go muck around with the algorithm. So yeah, so that's kind of Cupid, how we use Cupid in a nutshell. Cupid keeps a history, so I can go back and look at previous attempts. I can put an annotation in. Thanks, TestHeads, for coming, right? So if I'm making changes to my search engine outside of Cupid, I can put that in there and track it. I can do things like, let's make a variable, pound, that's it. Let's see, is that going to show up? So what this is saying is 100% of my tokens must match, but maybe I only want 75% of my tokens to match. Let's see if this will work. I haven't tried this before with a must match. And look, I get slightly different results that came back from Forrest Gump. Now I have some unrated documents, Forrest Gump at the top, but now, I only needed one of my 2 tokens to show up. So now I've got the Revenant, which is definitely not what I am looking for, right? So changing that was not a useful improvement. I'll finish rating these. As you can see, we spend a lot of time rating documents. So, and there you go. Thanks, TestHeads, for coming. I made a change in my must match using that knob, and I got worse results. So let me go ahead and put that back up to the top. And back up to, so that's it for sort of kind of the quick demoing, to kind of wrap up. Cupid has been used by quite a few different people. We open sourced it about 2 years ago. Been building a community. Thanks, Dimitri, for coming today. Dimitri's had a couple of contributions. And yeah, today we have these great tools around here for building your offline environment. The online world is much less defined. And I think that we need more people with a QA background in the search relevancy world, because they bring a different set of skills and capabilities. And critical to building a really strong search team is having a really strong QA component. So thank you.
Cool, Eric. Thanks a million. That was brilliant. Really interesting talk. It's good efforts here as well. Cool. I'm just going to run through the questions that pop up. That's okay. Just they don't get flagged on the recording. Otherwise, I'll just call them out as they come. If that's okay. So any questions you have, guys, just throw them into the Q&A box and we can crack away. Your pal Carlos started it by asking, great presentation, he said, first of all, which is cool. Does Cupid only work with SOLR or Elastic implementations?
Yeah, great question. Great question. So out of the box today, that is exactly what it works with, right? Setting, Solar, and Elasticsearch. However, it turns out, which window was I on? I've got the wrong one. Let me just bring this up. Turns out it's super easy to proxy just a random website. And in fact, that's what I'm doing right here, which is this is aldi.co.uk's website. And I am just running a headless browser with Puppeteer and just going in and looking at their data and grabbing it, right? They have great results for milk and they have terrible results for everything else. So, yeah, so it's pretty easy to add another search engine or your own search API that you might already have. So
cool. There's a question from Dara Curtis popped in the chat box. Well, there, Dara's asked, is there an automated or machine learning feature that would dynamically generate the queries to get the best possible results? And he said, instead of the user trying to figure the best algorithm. Good question.
Everybody wants that, right? So here's the problem. How do you know that the machines are doing a good job? What we actually normally do is we'll start with a small set of queries like this and then scale it up and use machine learning techniques and measure them against, let me show you an example, and then measure how well the machines did against the human rated ones. So as an example here, this is 125 e-commerce search queries. And we manually rated 10 of them. And we even wrote out what a good result was and what a bad result was. Then we're working in one case with a company that is rating all the other ones, but we can also use some machine learning and we'll measure, call it your label training data set and your test data set. We measure. So we call these manually ones explicit judgment lists. And then once you've got those baked, you can do implicit, ones driven by clicks, ones driven by machine learning, and measure the two. But yeah, there isn't sort of a super easy solution. But what I will say is, if you have a couple of content people, they sit down and do this for a couple of hours, and you do that periodically, once a quarter, a couple of hours. It's painful, it's not fun, but it's also not impossible to do.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that. Thanks. Leo's asked, is there any way to export the ranking set on Cupid so it can be imported?
Yeah, so actually that's been a big thing we've added in the last 6 months. So is a bunch of different ways of exporting them. And there's if you're doing thousands, and so Cupid works well for a couple hundred queries, but it's all running in your browser. If you want to do thousands and thousands of queries, there's another open source tool called Rated Ranking Evaluator. And so we're actually supporting multiple formats. So, here's my basic search results. Right? Hopefully you all can see that, yeah. Right? And so, yeah, so Cupid's got a number of different export and import. So you can also import those ratings back in. So if you've created them elsewhere, so often if you're going from search engine A to search engine B, and you like search engine A, you're like, hey, it's a great search engine. We're migrating to something new. You import the results from search engine A as your judgment list. So then you can measure how good is search engine B in matching what search engine A does. And that's why we added the export import features.
Cool. And Dimitri's asked a question as well. When I connect Cupid to a live updated search engine, the measurements will drift because of new docs. Do you have some solution for this? Something like
Yeah.
shut it
So,
down.
so one solution obviously is just to stay on top of it, right? This result here didn't have a little frog icon recently, and now it does, and I got to keep rating them, right? Let me get rid of that toggle notes. I go in here and I find, and eventually I'm going to find the document. Yep, those are zeros, right? This is one approach. These are all bad results. I close it down. I'm not going to go all the way through. The other thing, though, is I can bound my queries, right? What I could say is I only want to look at e-commerce products loaded from up until November 10th. And all my judgments will be at those products, right? I think people think it's a bigger issue than it really is. Sometimes I update my ratings. If I have data that changes a lot, I'll update my ratings on a quarterly basis. But I don't need to be looking at a live environment where the content's constantly changing.
Okay, cool. Anybody else? Any other questions before we head towards the end? Anyone else? Any comments or questions to put in? They're ready. Gus, are you there? Gus, you want to say something? Where's the Godfather? He's on. If you on mute. Not sure why Gus isn't unmuted there.
Hello.
Yeah, hear you fine. Let's think about it.
Hi guys. So first of all, let me thank Eric Pugh for a great talk. I really enjoyed it truly. And just to introduce myself, you guys haven't seen me for a while. I haven't been well. And my name is Augusto Evangelisti, and I'm one of the guys that created the meetup a few years back. And what I wanted to say was just that this year I haven't been able to follow what you guys have been doing and help as much as I wanted to. But I still wanted to thank you for a great year in which everybody went through a very difficult time. But we managed to gain a number of people that follow our meetup, gain in attendance, and this thanks in particular to Patrick and Darren that have been really taking the group to a new level. So that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to come in to thank you for waiting for me because I wasn't well enough to participate, and I look forward to 2021 working with you guys together. So thank you again, and back to Patrick. Thank you.
Thanks, pal. Yeah, cool. And Gus is doing a talk for us on the start of February, I think we said, which will be great as well. So that'll be cool. So that'll be one for everyone to look forward to. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Eric, that was a really, if I didn't like it, I'd tell you. I thought it was really interesting. I even WhatsApped Darren during 10 minutes in and said, I can actually follow this from the start, which is good for a change as well. Really interesting. Thanks a bit for taking the time to join us. We really appreciate it. If it's okay, I'll put the recording up tomorrow, and I send it out to all the members as well. So I can include your Twitter handle, your LinkedIn, whatever you want. Just drop me a message later, and I can include it. So if anyone has any follow-ups or questions afterwards, I'm sure they can give you a shout if that's okay.
Terrific. Yep. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, cool. And that's obviously the last event of the year. We squeeze one in December. Usually December we don't usually go, but nobody's got anything to do this month. So what's the harm? And it was definitely a beneficial one as well. So we'll be back on the 12th of January. We have 4 or 5 booked already for January, February, March, April. I think we're booked up pretty much for nearly the first half of the year, which is great. So we had a really good interest. And again, obviously every cloud has a silver lining. If we were all doing meetups live in that as well, we wouldn't be able to get people the caliber of Eric and Carl and other people we've had this year from the States joining us as well. So it's really good. So again, if anyone does want to talk, I keep saying it, we're booked out for the next few months, but we can always squeeze in more events. And if anyone wants to talk next year or wants to hear about a certain topic, feel free to reach out to Dara Gusseroy, and we'll find somebody for it as well. It's important that people actually are able to put their hand up and say, oh, maybe there's something we're struggling on in my current job, or maybe there's something you're trying to study up and learn yourself. It doesn't always have to be a talk either. Even if you want to reach out to me, if there's a topic you're struggling with, I'll probably be able to recommend someone you can buy a beer or you can buy a coffee and have a chat online, and somebody will be able to help you as well. It's important that people keep scaling up at the moment. But that's basically it. So everyone have a great Christmas. Lockdown is pretty much over in Ireland. Kind of. We're on level 3.
Hopefully, we hope.
we're on level 3, which means you can go more than 5k from your house, which is a good start. And some of the pubs and restaurants are open on Friday, so that's going to be a positive. But this has been really, really great, and we've already discussed next year. Obviously, the next few months are probably going to be similar extent with restrictions and stuff as well. But even if things get back to 100% next year, which is unlikely, but if it does get back that way, we're probably going to keep it as a hybrid model. We're going to have hopefully we're going to get to do some physical meetups again, which we enjoy, because we all enjoy the crack element as well, and meeting people and having fun as well when people come here. But also we're going to keep the online element going as well, just more so we can reach out to really, really top quality speakers, and it gives us a really good network of people to get out. And we can see like the snowball effect of when Carol spoke a few months ago. He introduced Eric to us, and Eric's going to give us somebody else for next year now. Eric, think of any of your other pals. So we need somebody else good, because that's a good act to follow. But that's pretty much it. So the 12th of January will be the next event. Obviously, we'll push the details out just after the Christmas break. We come back. Again, we'll be going then the start of February, the end of February, middle of March, and the end of March. I think we might have 5 events the next 3 months, which after Christmas, which would be great as well. But we have plenty of people looking to speak, which is really, really nice. Dar, anything else?
Yeah, no, that's it. I just wanted to say Happy Christmas to everybody. Happy New Year. Get drunk.
Yeah,
I think everyone deserves it.
Great stuff.
Thank you so much. It's been a crazy year, but a good one.
Great stuff. Okay, cool. Stay safe, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.